Hello everyone, it's me once again. Today I managed to get a hold of this cam Bifold here and I just wanted to do a review on it. So like usual, let's break it down piece by piece. Firstly, let's have a look at the frame. The frame has a nice matte finish, which is something I personally prefer over glossy frames a lot. Overall, less maintenance, fingerprints, and time spent on actually cleaning the bike. As you can see, the frame is rather clean without too many stains, and this bike feels to be quite new actually. It doesn't seem to be aged at all. The frame itself is made of aluminium, but the fork is made of steel. The bike is stated to be around 12.1 kgs online, but to be honest, it feels a bit closer to 13 kgs plus. Maybe 12.1 kg is the weight of the frame only without all the other parts. And overall, the build of the frame is pretty solid. It does still retain the issue of having an awkward kickstand position though, which prevents you from reversing the bike. The previous bike in the other video had this issue as well, and okay, it's not a deal breaker, but minus points for the user experience. I wonder why don't more bifolds adopt the kickstand design like behind. Okay, so I did mention that the frame is pretty solid earlier, but there is one glaring issue that I want to point out. Just check out how loose the headset is. So once again, the bike does seem to be relatively new, but having the headset this loose is just unacceptable. I genuinely have no idea how the owner managed to cycle this bike in this condition. It's very scary and dangerous. Overall, a hit towards my confidence for the bike. This might seem like an easily resolvable issue for those of you who don't mind the hassle of bringing it to a bike shop to get it fixed up. But for those of you who prefer a more longer lasting and convenient experience, this is a big minus point. The bike does come with a 9-speed system and is actually using a Shimano Altus derailleur, which is great. So yeah, 9-speed allows the bike to be pretty versatile and is always great to have. Plus using a Shimano derailleur that I know is reliable and smooth. The shifter itself though is a brand that I'm not too familiar with. As a result, the shifting isn't as smooth as it could have been if it was using a Shimano or maybe even a SRAM. Support for Shimano can be found almost everywhere, while this lesser known shifter probably not so easy. I don't think I mentioned this in the previous video, but the gear system for a bike is quite important. It's the system that decides how your bike operates. A good example might be comparing it to like phone systems, choosing between an Apple, Android, or maybe even a Xiaomi system. It may work, but it might not be the most compatible. Speaking of the gear system, the bike does come with a square tapered bottom bracket, which is pretty standard. I personally would prefer a hollow type bottom bracket as it's more efficient for pedaling and saves a lot of money in the long run when you need to replace the stuff. The bike doesn't come with suspension, and with the overall build of the bike being a bit bulky, the ride is pretty stiff. You might be able to feel the teeth clatter when you roll over some of the more uneven surfaces. This bike does come with disc brakes, which should be great, but these ones are contaminated. So you can hear that squeaking sound when you brake lightly, and the braking overall is noticeably less responsive. Disc brakes require a bit more care and maintenance, and this is what happens when you are unable to care for them well. The bike is also using hydraulic brakes. So like we went over before in the previous video, they are powerful, but they make the folding of the bike quite a hassle, as you have to be careful not to press against the brake housing. Let's say you accidentally do damage the brake housing, air bubbles will slowly seep into the system over time, and then you need to pay to get your brakes bled, or you need to go through the messy process of bleeding the brakes on your own. The grips have an ergonomic design which can definitely benefit those who suffer from wrist pain or palm pain related issues, but the grips themselves are not secure and can be rotated just by twisting your hand. Loose grips can really pose a concern if they accidentally slip while going at a faster speed. I think we can all agree that falling off a bike at high speed is never fun. The saddle of the bike is also quite stiff. Also not a deal breaker, but I personally would swap this out for something with more cushioning and softness. That is up to your personal preference though. The bike folds like your usual bifold, and the main folding part being the handlebar and the frame. Overall, the build of this bike is quite bulky and the folding does reflect that. The front latch is quite stiff and a bit hard to fully press down despite the headset being loose, while the middle latch is able to close with very little force actually, so it doesn't feel as secure. I can even just press it down with just my pinky. I am not very confident that the folding parts will be able to stay together securely though because of all these. The bike also does come with this magnet here to help hold the two folded halves together. but the magnet is rusty and barely works anymore. It doesn't do much at the moment besides acting as an eyesore. This is quite concerning as the bike does seem to be relatively new. On the chunkier side, pushing it around when folded isn't as smooth either. Like most bifolds, you can't really reverse the bike as the pedal will eventually hit the frame and get stuck, making it not very maneuverable, especially in crowded spaces like the MRT stations. It does come with a front carrier block or pig nose though, so you can just slot in any of those bags with the front carrier adapter on, and yeah, you can just carry any item you want in the bags. Just a good thing to have in general. I noticed that the bike is actually on the pricier side of bifolds, despite it not having some of the things that you would expect for a higher end trifold. Some examples include like the Holotech bottom bracket or at least a better shifter. You could probably use the same budget to buy a trifold with more benefits and better specs. This bike has quite a few parts that can be upgraded further as well, and honestly, with its price point, I think it would have been better if the bike came included with those upgraded parts in the first place. Overall, I would give this bike a 5 out of 10 in my opinion. The frame is solid but a bit clunkier than your average bifold. It does have a nice matte finish, and it is still in a relatively new condition without many signs of being aged. The headset is super loose though, which makes the bike basically unrideable in its current condition. It also comes with a shifter from a not so reputable brand and its triple bottom bracket. For the price point of the bike, I am a bit disappointed that it didn't come with those things in the first place. As I said earlier, you can probably top up a bit more to just get a trifold instead of upgrading the current setup. If you don't mind having a clunkier bike and just use it to go from point A to point B without folding it much, sure, this could work. But I personally think that there are better options out there in the same price range. And yeah, that is it for this review. Thank you to all of you who have stayed till the end of the video, and if there is any bike model or any bike brands you guys are interested in me reviewing, you can definitely drop me a comment down below. And I'll see if it's possible for me to get my hands on one of those bikes. And actually, if you guys are interested, you can actually even lend me your bikes to be reviewed as well. You can definitely just reach out to me in the comments, and I'll see if I can reach out to you as well. So yeah, thanks for all of the support that you guys are giving me, and it means a lot to me. That is all from me. See ya.